The formal mutual relationship between China and Nepal is not more than 70 years old. But in history, the two different culture and tradition met in the form of a Chinese diplomatic mission in three different occasions, and they fought side by side against the Indian kingdom, successfully defeating the Indian Usurpur King Arun Ashwa in the process. Namaste and welcome to our channel, The Unification of Nepal. In the 7th century, the Asian continent saw its strongest empire and the greatest emperors of its time. The Chinese Tang dynasty, ruled by Emperor Taizong in the far north. The rising Tibetan Empire, ruled by Songzong Gampo beyond the Himalayas. And the Indian Harsha Empire, ruled by King Harshavardhan in the Indian subcontinent. And between the two powerful empires, there was one small but strong kingdom, the Kingdom of Nepal. And it was ruled by the Lichchavi king, King Amshuvarma. In the late 6th century, by unifying most of the kingdoms in the northern India, but defeated by Pulakeshin II from the Chalukya dynasty, King Harshavardhan set his eyes in the Kingdom of Nepal. The then King of Nepal, King Amshuvarma, knew about this, and in order to balance the power, he proposed the marriage alliance of the Nepalese princess Brikuti in 624 AD to the Tibetan Empire Songtsen Gampo. He also married the Chinese princess Wencheng in 641 AD, cementing an alliance with both Nepal and China. King Harshavardhan was also in regular contact with China, with the help of Chinese traveler Huang Sang. The Tang Emperor, in response, sent two envoys, Ling Piao and Wang Shi, in 643 AD. They came through Nepal, and the then King Narendra Dev also welcomed them in his court. The series of envoy exchange continued through the Tibetan-Nepal trade route. In 647 AD, the Tang Emperor sent another team of envoy, led by Wang Xuans, with 30 imperial guards. But this time, when the team arrived there, the great King Harshavardhan had already died, and the kingdom fell into chaos. The successors of the king was poisoned by the minister Arunasva, also known as A Liu Na Shun, and usurped the throne for himself. But he did not stop there and intercepted the Tang envoys on the way. Completely unaware of the ongoing political turmoil, they fell straight into the trap. The battle ensued, and despite the overwhelming odds, they valiantly defended their general and fought to the last man. Ultimately, both Wang Xuans and his deputy Jiang Shiran were captured, along with a vast amount of tribute and precious things they collected from smaller kingdoms along its way. Later, by sheer luck, both did manage to escape to Nepal, but he definitely did not tolerate this betrayal and planned to attack the Indian kingdom. Unfortunately, Emperor Taizong was busy in Korean campaigns and was unable to send the troops. So, he decided to act on his own. To do this, he requested the Nepalese king and the Tibetan emperor and sent a word to the nearest border region of Tang Empire and he himself went to Tibet to oversee the expedition. The Nepalese king supported this endeavor and immediately ordered to mobilize his troops. The troops from the eastern part, the famous and lethal Kirati archers, who would have a big contribution in the upcoming battle, all mounted on horsebacks, began their march towards the capital. And from the west, the elite, mounted Khas Malla soldiers from Mallapuri began their march as well. In Tibet, 1,200 heavy mounted lancers were assembled, and some Chinese border troops and some soldiers from Kamarupa Kingdom did manage to arrive just in time. The combined army began their march along the snowy mountainous region in the northern border of Nepal. He opened up trade routes from Tibet to India through Kathmandu Valley, which would have long-lasting impact in the upcoming centuries. After the hard, long journey, the 7,000 elite mounted soldiers who were waiting for them joined their forces. The total number of troops were estimated to be around 10,000 army, strong all in horseback. Wang Xuans led the allied troops straight into the capital city. Rumors quickly spread around the whole subcontinent that the great Tang army was marching towards the capital. The cities began to surrender one after another because once powerful Harsha Empire was fragmented now into several smaller kingdoms after the death of their king. And they were bitterly divided and in no position to mount the defense, and agreed instead to pay the tribute and provided supplies for the army. While in the capital city of Kanauj, the Usurpur King Alausun prepared for resistance and assembled his army. He had some advantages. Firstly, the city was protected by massive walls, and secondly, in the northern side flowed the big Ganga River. In order to prevent from crossing, he destroyed the nearest bridge. Unable to cross, the allied army marched along the riverside for suitable river crossing, but Arunasva ordered his infantry to chase them along the opposite shore of the river, but his monstrous elephants needed some time to prepare and lagged behind. Unfortunately to the defenders, they could not catch the more mobile and allied cavalry, and the whole army now was in the same side. The infantry who were chasing them knew about the crossing and prepared for inevitable battle, hoping that the elephant reinforcement will come to their aid in time. The Indian spearmen were placed in front in order to match and counter the cavalry charge. In the allied side, small contingents of mounted Kirati archers were placed as a reserve, and rest of the cavalry were placed in one single line to overwhelm the infantry before the reinforcements arrived. The Indian infantry were no match for the elite mounted soldiers. They quickly began to lose cohesion and suffered casualties as the mounted troops wreaked havoc across the whole line. Some Nepali and Tibetan soldiers dismounted in order to fight more effectively. After fighting for hours, the defenders were in a near breaking point, and then King Arun Ashva arrived with his elephants, and the king himself arrived in his giant armored elephant. Seeing this, the remaining infantry retreated behind the elephants and rushed towards the city. But Wang Xuan's ordered his reserved force of Kirati archers to wheel around the edge of the line and shoot the enemy elephants from the back, as they were renounced lethal archers who could shoot the devastating archer volley from the horsebacks. And he ordered his rest of the soldiers to remount again and prepared personally for final headlong charge. The elephants wreaked havoc across the line, but unfortunately, they were not accustomed to fight the monstrous elephants. Many soldiers were trampled along their horses under them. The archers shot arrows from the elephant, and many were killed. But the Kirati archers, now behind the enemy lines, shot the volley after volley, injuring and killing the elephants in the process. They targeted the mounted archers and their mahouts so that they were not able to direct the elephants. Slowly and steadily, the steady flow of arrow with greater accuracy paid its price, and the number dwindled in no time. The elephants fell one after another, and the king, Arun Ashva, riding his armored elephant, broke the encirclement and retreated towards the city. The army gave chase and laid siege to the city. The attackers used scaling ladders, stone throwers, and fire catapults. The defenders managed to repel the attackers one after another from their defensive walls. But on the third day, some elite group of soldiers managed to climb the city wall in the night, killed the guards, and opened the city gates. The city fell within hours, and the sacking continued. 3,000 defenders laid dead along with the civilians, and the people made desperate attempts to cross the Ganga River. It is estimated that around 10,000 people drowned. The king, Arun Ashva, managed to escape in time and gathered the soldiers to fight again. But Wang Xuan dispatched his deputy Jian Shiren to chase them, and he captured Arun Ashva, along with thousands of enemies. The rest of them followed the king's wife to resist in Gandhara River. Jian Shiren also defeated them and captured his wife and the prince. He also captured 12,000 men and women and 30,000 livestock of all kinds. Following his victory, cities and smaller kingdoms began to pay tribute and provided supplies to the army. 580 cities in total surrendered. The king of Magadha sent 30,000 cattle and horses to feed the army, as well as bows, knives, and precious tassels. After consolidating his resources and dividing the spoils of his allies, Wang Xuans began to return with vast amount of tribute along with King Arunashva and his wife and his son with thousands of captured men and women, leaving behind the ruined city and bitterly divided kingdoms ready for asserting their dominance. In the Nepali side, the soldiers were welcomed by the king in a grand ceremony, where the precious metals, loots, and captured men were paraded in the valley. Emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty welcomed the victorious general and appointed him as the official of the imperial court as a reward. Special thanks to the YouTube channel Itihas for collaborating and making this video possible. If you are interested in awesome historic content of Nepal, this channel certainly is the right one. You can go and check the videos by the links in the description. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.